Greetings, internet friends. Welcome to another episode of Dabbling with Dan. Today, Dan's going to be dabbling and replacing the stator in the 17.5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton motor. And I thought you might like to come along and see how to do this. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and disconnect the negative battery terminal. This is a 7/16 nut. Double check to make sure that the unit won't start. And it will not. So the top cover here has to come off. And then on this model, there are two bolts here that are 3/8 inch. And then there's two bolts here that need to be removed. But first, I'm going to go ahead and pop off the fuel pump from the case. And these are just popped in there with little pins. And just a flathead screwdriver and a little bit of force will pop them off. Now here, I'll go ahead and remove these. I'll set them off here on the workbench. And let's go here in the back and then we'll loosen these two. The next step here is I'm just going to go ahead and lift up on this. Go ahead and remove that, and you're going to see the top of the motor. And I'm going to go ahead and get a flathead screwdriver because we need to go ahead and remove this piece. There we go. 15/16. Loosen that out. All right. I'm going to take this grating off. And we're going to go ahead and pull the cooling fins off. And they've got these two little knobs here that fit here in the top. Now, there's a couple ways to pull this off. They've got a couple screw holes here, and you can get a device and you can kind of pull it off. That you have these bolts that you'll screw in. Like so. You want to get these down in there. All right, so once that's in, then I'll tighten this up. And then this will pull up. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. There, it's out. I'll go ahead and remove my puller tool. And there we go. Pull this thing up. And you got to make sure you don't lose that. And there's a bunch of crud in here. And these are the magnets. And here is your stator. And let's take a really close look at that because you can easily see that it's burnt. Oh my goodness, yeah. You can kind of even see where this plastic is burnt. It's very brittle. Now this is a single wire. And I've already disconnected it from the voltage regulator. And all we need to do is find the right socket there. These are 1/4 inch. And there's a little tab right here. We got to loosen up that nut, and that is a 1/2 inch. And this is the starter. Just loosened enough to where I can get that wire out. Once those are removed, you just lift this thing up. Oh my gosh. And look, this thing just broke. Wow. All right, we went ahead and got it all cleaned up. Maybe not the whole engine. We might do that a little bit later, but just where the stator is going to go. And I want to position this to where this wire which goes to the voltage regulator. Then we'll get tucked down under that tab right there. Oops, there we go. And we're going to go ahead and reuse the 4 bolts. And we'll go ahead and get those snug. We'll use our 1/4 inch. Tighten them down. All right, so all 4 are hand tight, and I'm going to give them a good torquing down. Make sure that stator is good and flat. Don't want to over torque it. Check your manufacturer for the proper torque. There. That looks really good. Now the next step, before we reassemble, we got to clean something up here. Let's bring this over here to the workbench. And I think this is probably I'm just trying to figure out why this stator failed. If you take a look inside between all these magnets, there's a bunch of dust, dirt, and grime. We need to clean all this out. So I'm just going to we should probably use something that's not magnetic because it's sticking to those. But we want to get all this dirt and grime out before I put this thing back on, because I think this stuff may have bridged and maybe shorted out the stator. That's the only thing I can think of. Now this machine, no, this motor just has a lot of hours on it, and I do keep it clean, but I've never taken this apart. And you can see where all that grime is in there. And what we're going to do here, we're going to get our air compressor and we're going to blow this all out. But right now I just want to loosen this up with a screwdriver. Ah, that looks much better. All right, we'll clean up a little bit more and we'll go ahead and reinstall. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and double check, make sure I got good torque on all of these. Do a crisscross pattern. Perfect. Now, here's that little tab from a different angle. I just want to tighten that down. Again, that's a 1/2 inch. Okay, that's good and tight, and that is not bound or tied up on anything. Now, this is a good angle here too. Here is that slot there where that key goes in. There's the key. And then we'll put that part over it. Kind of goes like that actually. All right. And again, you can see the slot right there. And we got this good and cleaned up. And I think what you do, I think you put this on first. And we'll be careful that I don't damage that. I want to come straight down. And remember, this has got a little bit of a magnetic pull to it. Bring it straight down. There we go. All right, there is where we're going to pull this down a little bit. And we'll drop that key in there, okay? Like so. Now our key's in. Next thing we're going to go ahead and do is put our, now remember this has little plastic buttons that kind of fit into those. Make sure that's in there. And then we got this plate that goes on there. And now we can put our bolt in and tighten down. That's good and tight. Go ahead and reinstall this cover. Now reinstall the 2 bolts here and the 2 bolts up front. All right. Now we'll just reconnect the fuel pump pins. We're going to go ahead and just reconnect the voltage regulator. So it'll be yellow to yellow. Reconnect our negative battery, and we'll turn the motor on. We'll see if we got voltage charging our battery. Well, that's going to wrap this one up. You went ahead and saw how a stator gets put in on a 17.5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton motor. I'd say they're all pretty much the same. I like about these 0 turns is the motor is readily accessible. Again, thanks for joining me over there in that corner. Give it a click. Share this video with a friend. Leave a comment. Again, thanks for joining me, everybody. Thanks a lot. Y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.